Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the All Star Trio podcast. As always, I am your host, Nick, joined as always with my co host, Luke,
Here we go.
and my moderator, Tori.
Hello.
Tori, kick us off.
Alrighty, let's get started with college football. Guys, Michigan beat Ohio State? What the heck?
Well, this is weird. I thought this would happen.
Yeah, 42-27. Luke, I'm pretty sure you said that they were going to get as whooped as Ohio State did to Michigan State. I believe that was your take.
I definitely did say that, yes.
Yes. Plain and put, Michigan literally ran over Ohio State. 297 rushing yards as a team. If I'm not mistaken, it was below 200 yards passing, and then that was it. Michigan finally did it. Hasn't happened in like 6 years. Finally did it.
The Giant had to fall at some point, but you said Michigan wouldn't get in since they weren't winning their conference. But here they are.
I still don't think they'll get in. And the final thing, they're 2 right now. I don't think they're going to stay there. They're going to try to find a way to get it, especially since because their conference final championship is against Houston, I think, versus Oklahoma State being Baylor, who's a top 10 team. Oklahoma State will get in over Michigan.
If they win.
They'll win. They better freaking win at this point. Good God. Oklahoma State just lit the fire that is the hell that we've been in the last few weeks, but we'll go over that here in a minute. So
yeah, no, Michigan's got Iowa next.
Is it Iowa? Oh, I think Iowa's ranked top 25, but I don't think they're ranked very high. I think they're
pretty low. Yeah. No, if Michigan beats Iowa and wins this last game, they might stay in.
Oklahoma State will go in over. I think at this point with Cincinnati, I think the committee wants Cincinnati's fear is that they're going to be 4. If I'm Cincinnati, I do not want to be 4. I do not want to play Georgia. I want to be 3, and they're not going to let him be 3. The committee is going to keep them at 4, so that when Georgia blows them out, it's know your place, you small, low 5 team.
Well,
it's the filthy Frank, know your place.
Hey, that's a reference. No, if Oklahoma State gets in, I don't see them knocking anybody else out but Cincinnati or Alabama, maybe.
I think Alabama will get knocked out because that's the only thing that could really cause chaos here is if Alabama wins. But
so let's talk about Alabama. Alabama almost lost. What are y'all's predictions for Georgia versus Alabama?
Georgia.
I think Georgia will win. Dude, all I got from that Auburn game is that Alabama can't score. Their offense is not that good. I said it before. I don't remember. I think it was like 2 episodes ago where I said that I was not impressed by their offense this year. I stand by that. Their offense was bad. They didn't score until the 4th quarter. And then 4 overtimes against Auburn. Really? Auburn?
I was hoping Auburn would win.
Oh, we were all hoping. We were all hoping. They escaped 24-22 in 4th overtime.
That was plot armor if I've ever seen it.
I mean, all I've got from this is that Nick's. I don't know if it was before or after, but there was a Nick Saban interview, and he pretty much just like went after the fans. Like when I came here, everyone was excited for a win. They were excited to get a win. It's not the same way it is now, and y'all need to chill out because if anyone wants to win these games, it's the players. Leave the players alone. Nick Saban literally went into Alabama fans, and he's right. But
weren't the fans like throwing things at the refs that game?
They were throwing stuff at the players. Alabama is. We want to talk about being spoiled, about Oklahoma being spoiled. Alabama's been really spoiled. But that's what happens when the committee rides you off for the next 10 years. Checks what you don't have.
Yeah.
Moving on, let's talk about the top 25. We'll do our lower higher. Number 1, Georgia.
Very fine.
Fine.
Number 2, Michigan.
Down. Bring them down. I don't think they should have been number 2. I don't think they should have jumped all the way to 2. They were 5 or 6 before. I think they should have been 3, but
I would say they're fine at 2, maybe be 3. It's just a matter of who they knock out next week.
3, Alabama.
I think they should have been 5th. I think they should have been ranked 5. You go to 4 overtimes against a team like Auburn, and you get to be put at number 3. That's the only reason I think Michigan's at 2. I think they should have been dropped out to 5, especially with the game Oklahoma State had, and the fact that Cincinnati's still unbeaten. I think Cincinnati should have been 3, Oklahoma State should have been 4, and Alabama should have been 5. But
I agree with that. Alabama has struggled consistently more than like any other top team right now. I would definitely move them down. The thing about Oklahoma State is that they also kind of struggled against OU. It should have probably should have lost that game.
we'll go over that later.
Okay, that was talking about on field. Let's talk about off field.
Do we have to speak of the man who must not be named, the forever traitor, the coward who ran from the freaking SEC? What a...
At least he made it tough on the USC to get him.
He did. He made them pay off.
Yeah.
He made him pay off his houses in Oak Norman and buy him 2 new houses.
And give him $110 million for the job.
Okay.
And a personal jet with unlimited use.
What this means for OU. We lost Riley. Since he left, we've had 11 top 5 decommits, which is horrible. We've lost guys like Spencer Radler. Caleb Williams is questionable. He was seen at the Oklahoma basketball game. He hasn't said anything yet that I've heard of.
No, he hasn't.
We're losing players. A lot of people are going to leave. Rattler's gone.
We've lost Weiss, Stogner, Hazelwood, Crutchfield. Marvin Mims is strongly considering transferring. Like, our big names are getting out.
But what I've heard is that we're getting the Clemson defensive coordinator, Brent Venables. However you pronounce that last name. It's going to be different next year because if he comes, then we're going to have a defensive mind going from the big offensive mind that was Lincoln Riley. But LSU, getting some good LSU commits, especially good defensive players from LSU to come over. That's going to fix up their defense. And then apparently if he comes, he's planning on bringing the Ole Miss offensive coordinator. Ole Miss just finished, what was it? They finished 8th.
It's 8th or 9th.
They're 8th.
8th, yeah.
So that's some pretty good commits from Ole Miss too. We get some good offensive players. We get some good defensive players. The University of Oklahoma is going to recover. We're going to get our commits back. Or, well, we'll get new commits. I think we'll be okay.
It might take a year to rebuild.
Yeah, it might take a year to get around this new coaching style and everything because we lost Riley, and I think we lost our defensive coordinator.
We lost Riley and Grinch.
Yeah. So it's going to be different. It might take a year, but Riley really blindsided everyone after stock up to not lying, I guess. He didn't lie. He did say that he was not going to be the coach of LSU. We all got hopeful, and then he went to USC, and wording. He worded that so well. Immunized. Aaron Rodgers. Thank you.
Yeah. The players are not happy with him. Like,
oh, no.
Isaiah Thomas was one of the guys that's on Instagram who's not happy with Lincoln Riley.
I forget who I said, but he was like in the locker room. Him and another defensive player both looked when Riley told them and called him like a traitor and cussed him out in the locker room. Like,
I remember you talking about that, but I don't remember who.
The players were mad. A lot of players were very, very.
They deserve to be mad, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then you have people at Oklahoma putting traitor all over statues and stuff. And then
that one seems excessive to me, but I do get the whole players being mad. I even get fans being upset with Riley, but the signs are a little bit overboard.
Well, I talked to some guys I know at OU. They said there's no torches and pitchforks yet, so we don't have to worry about the university coming down.
Yeah, because Dude, the man ran from the SEC. If he had gone to LSU, I think people would have been more mad because that means we're going to be playing against him here in a couple of years. The fact that he went to USC, I don't think anyone's really. I think that made it a little bit better because he went to a nowhere team. Well, a team that used to be super popular, but hasn't been in a long time. So I kind of hope that he crashes and burns out there just for shits and giggles. But
I mean, this could be a good change for OU moving into a new area and I forgot what it's called.
yeah,
I mean,
definitely could be.
I get why he went. He got a lot to go to USC.
He did.
And I mean, I wish him the best out there. Am I upset at him? Yeah, but I wish him the best.
I don't.
My biggest problem with this is that he was effectively recruiting for USC on OU's dollar.
Mhm.
That is definitely my biggest issue with this.
My biggest issue with it
could wait
is
till the end of the year.
when did he stop caring about Oklahoma? Because you got to think that he had to have known weeks, maybe even months ahead of schedule that he was leaving.
I don't think that he stopped caring.
As soon as he got that offer before, it had to have been weeks ahead of schedule that he knew about this. And then the fact that he's not going to finish the season, that really gets me, is that he's not going to finish the season at the bowl game. Like, he just dipped and left us without a head coach for a bowl game. Luckily, Bob Stoops coming in. But Stoops is back. It's going to be big. It's going to be great. Did you hear about him getting payment?
Mm-hmm.
They told him, we're going to pay you, I think it was like $8,000 for that one bowl game. And he said, no. He said, I'll be fine. And they offered to pay him again. And he said, no, I'll be fine. And he left. And Oklahoma sent it directly to his bank account. And I haven't heard anything about it yet after that. But, God, I wish he would stay. I know he won't. But, man, if Oklahoma said re-signing head coach Bob Stoops.
If only we could go back to the glory days.
At that point, I might be praising Lincoln Riley for leaving and reopening the great Stoops era, coming back. But it's going to be interesting because, like, he's going to go into this bowl game and you're going to have all these players like, this is Bob Stoops. This is who this is. And he's probably going to be in there like, I don't know half of your name, so this is going to be interesting.
No, he's been announcing for the team.
Oh,
like,
yeah. He's going to know the players. He's going to end up coming in there and listing people off, and they're going to be dumbstruck because, Bob Stoops. All right.
Next segment. MLB. How do you guys feel about the Mets free agency?
That's just
Scherzer, Anna, Marte, and Escobar.
I don't think we can make fun of them for having no offense behind their pitchers anymore.
No. We still can, because who knows how they're going to play. We say this every year. They always get some big offensive signing, and then they don't do anything. So,
You said it about the Yankees, too. That's
they're
right.
still the Met. The Yankees never do anything either.
Yeah, they're New York teams.
Scherzer and DeGrom might be the best 1-2 punch in baseball history, honestly. Like, Scherzer just came off a year where he was second in Cy Young. DeGrom, when he was healthy, was an MVP candidate as a pitcher. I think this helps Scherzer. I think this helps out DeGrom a lot because now he doesn't have to stress being the number one option all the time for the Mets. But I mean, they lost Syndergaard and they brought in Scherzer, which was definitely a big upgrade. Marte, if he played enough games, was an MVP player. That's a huge signing. Canna and Escobar absolutely add some depth to that team. So,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, the only thing I can say they still got to go in is the bullpen. The relievers can always use work.
Always, but at the same time, I still think they had a good. I think they just went crazy. We all roasted the Mets GM for getting upset when Matt signed with another team, and he put on the Instagram. Went online and said, "Never been so blindsided, never been so betrayed by a team." And we all made fun of him, like, "Oh, go cry," and he said, "All right, now you cry," and he signed. everybody he could. Power move. Nothing else to say to that one.
It really is.
So what do you guys think about the Rangers?
Let's go. They finally did something. Oh man, I heard all these rumors about the Rangers signing people. And then I was like, oh, they won't do it. They're the Rangers. And then they did it. Corey Seager, Marcus Simeon, and then they also got Gray, who not as excited about him. He had like a 5.35 ERA in Colorado. I think he'll be better because he's no longer in Colorado. But
yeah, John Gray is he's a bullpen guy.
Better than what we have. So Simeon finished second in MVP. Corey Seager, one of the top 5, top 10 shortstops in the league. That middle infield's going to be great. We have to move Kiner Falefa back to third. He can win another Gold Glove over there. It adds to our lineup. I mean,
still got Brock Holt doing his utility thing.
Nah.
Dude, the Rangers have blown my mind this offseason. I don't know where this came from. I wasn't expecting it, but they are clearly doing whatever is necessary to get the rookies out of the lineup.
And then we still have that. Adolis Garcia is going to go into his second year. That's huge. We're still in the running for Clayton Kershaw. That'll help build up the lineup or build up the roster, the pitching staff. So we have a lot of young pitchers. They could definitely stand to learn from a guy like Clayton Kershaw. That is definitely a guy that can teach a whole bullpen.
Mind blown. I don't know where the Rangers came from.
I think the AL West, which has been a bit of a laughingstock lately, and I think it's been such an underrated division. I think it might be the toughest division in baseball next year. With Houston, LA, the Rangers making moves, Seattle did a move. So I think that's going to be a really tough division. Poor Oakland A's, I think they actually might finish in the bottom of this division. But
let's not count out the Rangers. But I would not be surprised if
the Rangers. The Rangers. Whew.
Well, speaking of Seattle, what's your opinion on them?
Robbie Ray. They went out and got a Cy Young winner. That's huge for them because
it happened quick.
Mm-hmm. They are honestly really solid. They're a very good young team with a lot of capital that they can absolutely trade to get another big player. They're in the running for guys like Chris Bryant right now, which would be huge for the team. I'm honestly scared of this division because Seattle's going to be a top team. Houston's going to be a top team. The Rangers are going to be a medium team. And then you still have Oakland. I think that this division is going to be really tough, and I'm excited to watch it.
I would agree with you there. Getting Robbie Ray so quick after his Cy Young year, that's an insane move. And they also got Adam Frazier with it.
Mm-hmm. They traded for Adam Frazier. I forgot about that.
So Seattle looking kind of nice. I know my brother is happy about that.
Oh, I forget that he's a Seattle fan. What a weirdo.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, with everything that's going on, let's talk about free agents. Nick, you want to start us off?
I'm going to go out there and say it right now. Freddy Freeman will not be an Atlanta Brave next season.
I think you will be.
I don't. Dude, I thought so too. And I was super excited for it. And then I recently heard that the Braves have been talking to Matt Olson.
Yeah.
If they're that scared that they're not going to get Freeman, that they're already talking to another top first baseman, I don't think they're going to get him.
I don't think they're scared. I think they're just trying to leverage his contract against Freeman's.
Yeah, but if they leverage it and they can get a cheaper guy in Matt Olson, who's arguably the best first baseman with Freeman, I mean, if you get Olson cheaper, I would take him, and then you don't need Freeman at that point. What I'm really scared is that the rumors are that Freeman's going to go to the Dodgers, which I do not want ever. But it's going to be very interesting to see because that's just going to be very intriguing to watch that whole mess because Freeman's not giving them a discount. He wants his money and he deserves it. I don't know where he's going to go.
I still think he stays.
I hope so, but when you start hearing things like that, it's kind of it's circling around and all that, it kind of makes you start thinking.
Sure, but I really think it's just they're gonna try and jumpstart conversations by rumoring, talking to Olsen, trying to get Freeman. Like, okay, if I don't sign with them, they will get somebody else. And he likes Atlanta. He likes that team. He literally just won a World Series with them.
Mm-hmm.
I think Freeman stays, but there's still time. Chris Bryant, does he stay with the Giants?
I think he will.
What
The
if he goes
rumors
to
that
the
I've heard is
Mariners?
that he's either going to go to San Francisco or he's going to go to Seattle. And if he goes to Seattle, at that point, I think we start talking about Seattle and Super Bowl. Or Super Bowl. Sorry. We start
Not
talking
this
about
year. Not
Seattle
this year.
and the World Series.
Seahawks are bad.
Because the Giants were a great team last year. If he stays, that team's going to do what it was doing. If he goes to Seattle, then we really have to start considering them like a top-tier team. You have guys like Adam Frazier, Robbie Ray, and Chris Bryant. You really have to start taking that team very, very seriously. Chris
I
Bryant.
think there's no bad move for him here.
Oh, yeah, there's no bad move. All the top teams want him. I've even heard rumors that he might end up going to the Mets. And if he goes to the Mets, that really, I think that boosts the Mets more to being another year of 500. But it'll be interesting.
Honestly, if I'm Chris Bryant, I'm just deciding which pitchers I want to get behind.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got the Giants with guys like Logan Webb, but now you've got the Mariners with guys like Robbie Ray. It's just which pitcher do you think will take your team further?
Which team will carry me further and further?
Well,
which team can I
Chris
bandwagon on
Bryant.
in 4 years?
Chris Bryant is going to produce no matter where he is.
Yeah, because he can play multiple positions. He can play first, he can play third, he can play outfield. Like, you get him, and it doesn't matter where you want him, he'll play.
Mm-hmm. I really think it's just which pitchers are going to be better throughout the year. Because if baseball is not a one-man sport, you've got to have a good bullpen.
So, Carlos Correa. I am very shocked he did not sign yet. I'm wondering about him in Detroit. Because Detroit just signed Javier Baez to a 5-year deal, I believe. Why would you, if you're so sure you're going to get a top-tier shortstop like Carlos Correa, why would you sign another shortstop? My only thinking is that they move Javier Baez to second base because he can play second, and then you can put Correa at shortstop. But at the same time, it makes you wonder. Because I've been hearing apparently the top two things right now is that Correa is either going to go to the Cubs or the Yankees. And I still very much think he's not going to go to the Yankees. You don't diss one of their top players in their history like that and go to that team. So I'm very interested where he's going to go. If he goes to the Cubs, I don't know why he would want to go to the Cubs, though. Cubs are a rebuilding, struggling team.
He said he's open to a rebuilding team. He's gone on record and said he's willing to go to a rebuild.
I don't know. But if he goes to the Cubs, then, I mean, we're not going to really hear about him much this year. But all to him, because that puts him in probably one of the best fan bases in baseball. Like, it's a very interesting fan base, but it's not like a we hate you all fan base. It's the Cubs. It's very much a love-hate Chicago team.
He wants to be the guy they build around.
Yeah, he could definitely be that guy. He would be the guy on that team. But
I think so too. But
then
I've got one more.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Schwarber. I think he goes back to Boston.
I've heard that he's planning. It's between the Nationals and Boston for him right now. I
think now that Boston is getting guys like JBJ back,
mm-hmm.
I think there's a very strong case Schwarber goes back to Boston.
That was such a weird decision to get JBJ back.
Because it was a great decision.
I think it was they took on a bigger contract, but it gives them another year, and they got 2 prospects out of it.
Dylan Paxton. Yep.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a good. Yeah, I think it was a good deal for him. But
Bloom, there's no way Bloom would pass up this deal because, you get 2 prospects in Dylan Paxton. You lose Renfroe, which sucks because he was really good. But you get a world champion in JBJ, who was a world champion with your team, might I add. Adds more outfield depth. You give guys like Schwarber a reason to come back now that you know Xander and JD are staying. I I like Boston's offseason so far.
Yeah. I mean, they sold high on Renfro because he's not gonna do what he did last year again. So
And if he does, hey man, good for him.
yeah. And then the final guy I want to talk about, Trevor Story. It's seeming more and more like that he's going to go to Houston because the Rangers has got Seager, so they don't need a shortstop anymore. So I don't think he's going to go to the Rangers. I don't know if he'd go to the Yankees. I don't think he will. Apparently, I think it's narrowed down to being the Yankees or the Astros. I think he'll go to the Astros because they desperately need a shortstop right now. So it seems to be very much lining up that Story's going to go be an Astro, which, I mean, yet again, I think that division's going to be really tough. So,
I mean, who knows? But we might have to wait a while to see what else gets made with this lockout. Oh yeah.
Lead us to our next part.
What's y'all's opinion on this? We haven't had a lockout for a while. So how are y'all feeling about this? What do y'all think?
So stupid. It's so dumb. It's literally just the player saying, we want more money. The owner saying, we want more money. And in the end, the only people suffering here are the people who enjoy watching baseball, are the fans. Because there's just there was this whole build up to everything. There's all free agency was running hot, running high, and man, just nothing. It's dead. There's nothing here now.
So there are things to take away from this. The lockout wasn't necessary, and it's probably not that impactful.
From what I've heard, is that it's not going to actually impact anything as long as it's done before February. So
I think this is a very, hey, listen, there's got to be something done. We're not going to stand by on this. Like, we're not going to take the sideline. I think this lockout is more of a message that somewhere we're going to have to compromise.
So what it is the owners want extend the playoffs. They want to keep the runner on second base in extra innings. Horrible rule. They want to have the universal DH, and then they want to keep player payment where it is. The players,
they want to institute salary caps, or not salary caps, salary minimums.
Yeah. The players want to be paid more. They want, if they're going to play more games, they want more payment. They want the minor leaguers to get paid more, which I'm all with. And then they don't want the runner on second base rule, which I side with. Honestly, I'm siding more with the players than the owners right now. I do like the idea of an extended playoffs, but the California rule in extra innings is dumb. It really ruins the sport. And then a universal DH also sounds good. I do really like that idea. But you have minor leaguers, like, it's terrible with how they're being treated. Like Juan Soto literally said, I was on an air mattress, and then they told me I need to get a real bed, and he said, I'm not going to be here long. And 14 days later, he was called up to the majors.
Mm-hmm.
It's the treatment of minor leaguers is so horrific at this point that it has to change.
The question about the payment is how much more do MLB players get paid? Because the big names get paid ridiculous amounts of money already.
I agree with that, and I'm all for like having. I think it needs a salary cap. I think the issue isn't that players are getting paid more. I think that if they implemented a salary cap, that would fix the problem with players wanting more money. Because at that point, it's like we don't have the money to pay. We can't pay you this money, so you're getting this or you're done.
And I've heard the argument. Oh, go ahead.
Y'all feel this is pretty pointless. So why do you guys think that this started? Why the controversy?
Because Rob Manfred is an idiot and needs to be fired.
He does need to be fired. If not for what's going on right now, for the baseball thing.
He literally has the owners and the players at each other's throats, and he is doing nothing to help. He made it a unanimous decision to do this lockout. And that, as a commissioner of baseball, as a guy who's trying to make people watch baseball, you can't go out there and be like, yeah, let's just stop everything. Like it's like if It's like if the guy who is in charge of Apple just decided, let's just stop making phones until people decide they want to start paying for them. It doesn't make sense. It's a terrible business decision, and it's honestly just dumb. Like, it's Kirk Cousins lining up behind the right guard levels of dumb.
Let's just be glad it happened in December, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot of different angles to come at this problem. But for what it's worth, let's just let the process run its course. It's December. There's still time.
Next segment. Moving on to the NFL. Are the Colts and Patriots legit?
Yes.
Colts, no. Patriots, yes.
Why?
They're both playoff caliber teams.
Playoff caliber, yes. First round exits, the Colts, yes. The Patriots, maybe not. Okay. The Patriots, I think, are for real. Bill Belichick literally got exactly what he wanted. He wanted a quarterback that sits in the pocket and throws it around the field as he needs. That coach staff is really good. The top 5 defense in the league. Might be the best defense in the league. And then the offense is literally just doing what he needs it to do. Exactly what he needs it to do. And Mac Jones is getting better and better and better. Like in this month, he averaged the highest yards per attempt, which was he was 8.6 yards per attempt. He doesn't have to throw it downfield because they do well without it. They have a power run scheme. It works. It's what Bill Belichick wants. It's what he couldn't get out of Cam. He's getting what he wants. Belichick is literally creating the next Tom Brady as we speak, and it's terrible for the league, and I'm scared.
I hate that you say that. I hate that.
I hate that that's what it is. His stats are almost exactly what Tom Brady's were. So it's scary, but we'll see.
I mean, for the Colts,
their quarterback
they're
is
both
Carson
playoff.
Wentz. They will never succeed anything.
They're both playoff caliber teams, but the Colts are a dark horse.
The Colts have Carson Wentz.
upset
They are
team.
literally the darkest horse. As soon as they need him in the playoffs, he's going to get hurt. He's going to throw out his legs for some reason. And then they'll put in his backup, and then the backup will either choke or be the next great quarterback, i.e. Nick Foles.
Listen, I think that both the Colts and the Patriots are legit, but I think they're legit for different reasons. Patriots might be a more complete team, but the potency of the Colts run game, coupled with their pretty good defense, makes them one of the best upset teams in the league.
I agree with that. But like I said before, I think that they're a seasoned team. I think they're going to be very much like what the Titans have been, where as soon as you learn to stop their run, as soon as you can halt the run a little bit, which, I mean, yes, teams have struggled with doing. But you go off in the playoffs and you play some of these teams and they do that, you're kind of stuck at that point. So at that point, I think you stop the run. We saw that Carson Wentz could not compete well. He threw a late game interception against Tampa Bay. It was the most Carson Wentz thing I've ever seen.
And they still almost won that game.
Yeah, they did. And I will admit, they looked really good. The team looked really good. Their quarterback is still Carson Wentz. And for that reason, I do not think, mostly because I'm very biased as a Phillies fan. So screw Carson Wentz.
Nick has been hurt on a personal level by Carson Wentz.
No. The Phillies have been hurt on a personal level by Carson Wentz. The only good thing we're getting out of Carson Wentz right now is the first round picks. That's it.
That's funny.
The more snaps he takes, the more draft picks we get. I'm not kidding you. That was the deal for the draft pick. That Carson Wentz has to play a certain amount of snaps.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because he's so injury prone. It's such a 50-50 chance whether he's going to play well, play bad, or blow out his knees. It's such an iffy stance that they literally, for the trade, he has to play a certain amount of snaps. I think it was 270 snaps or something like that. And he very recently got it. So we got our draft pick. So thank you, Carson Wentz. You did your job for Philly for the first time in God knows how long. Literally, he got us to the playoffs, and then we didn't need him to get to the Super Bowl. So, I mean...
All right, going back to the Colts. Here's the one thing about their run game, especially that I really like, is that supposed top teams, i.e. Buffalo, couldn't stop that run.
Okay.
And Buffalo was supposed to be a playoff team.
True, and they are. But Buffalo's biggest issue is that when people run straight, we saw that when they played the Titans. They cannot.
And then they failed again at Indianapolis.
Yes, because they
That makes
struggle.
me
Okay,
that
we've
makes me
already been
think that
over
the
this.
Colts have something
The Bills
there.
are fake. I agreed with your take.
Yes, they
The
are.
Bills are fake. Okay, so if you're gonna
We've
go
won
off the
6
standard,
years.
if you're gonna go off the standard that the Bills are fake, you don't get to sit here and be like, "Oh, the Bills were a good top team."
They were
You
supposed to
hush
be.
your face.
They were definitely supposed to be.
The Bills struggle with teams whose players run straight down the middle. They struggle against power run teams or inside running teams. That's exactly what happened. He
Question is, are
literally
they the only
ran
one?
down the pipe.
Hmm.
So
My question is, are they the only team that struggles with that? I don't think they are. I think there are going to be more playoff teams that struggle with that run game.
I agree. I do agree. But then we've seen that their offense plays well, their defense doesn't. Tampa Bay, they got outscored against a team. I mean, they got beat by Leonard Fournette, which you cannot let happen to yourself. Luke, take over. The pop-up thing for the Zoom meeting being saved popped up and it completely derailed me. Sorry.
All right, well, here's final thoughts. Patriots and Colts, both playoff teams. Who goes further?
Patriots.
Probably the Patriots, but the Colts might have a good upset or two in them.
I disagree. Carson Wentz sucks. Mac Jones is an MVP.
Well,
That's
the
my
Colts
stance.
are only 2 games behind Tennessee, and Tennessee is faltering hard. So
Oh yeah, they're gonna get saved because Derrick Henry's on. I want to know what's with that division and running backs deciding that they're going to be the next greatest thing. They might lose. Tennessee might fall off. I mean, what do you expect? They don't have Derrick Henry anymore, and Ryan Tannehill is fake, like I've said before. Plain and simple, Ryan Tannehill is not a good quarterback. He is bottom 15. He is saved by the fact that he is protected by the Hulk. So, by the man, the beast, the legend that is King Henry.
who just got surpassed for rushing yards, actually, by Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, and he's still... He hasn't played in like 4 weeks.
I know.
And he's still second in the league in rush yards.
That's
Let that
so
stand.
funny.
Let that stand. Ryan Tannehill is literally carried on the back of a freaking gorilla. That is
I would
King
agree.
Henry. How many times can I call this man an animal? I called him Hulk. I've called him a gorilla. What else can I go on here?
Well, he is, so
Big boy.
he's a monster.
There we go.
In y'all's opinions, which team is in the most trouble right now?
The Chargers.
The Rams.
Elaborate.
Luke?
I'll go first. The Chargers are another team that was supposed to be playoff bound, but they are on the brink at 6-5. Teams like Denver, Indianapolis, and Vegas are tied a game behind them. The
Yeah.
Chargers have fallen off hard, and they're another team I kind of predicted. I was not on the hype train, but
I was.
that aside,
I sadly have to. I will admit I am off the hype train. The coaching staff has proven that they're not that good. The defense is terrible, honestly. Worst rushing defense in the league. Justin Herbert's been struggling a bit. I still think that offense is really good. I really do. I think Herbert is honestly going to be a top 3 quarterback in the next 2 years. I've seen takes that Justin Herbert's a top 3 quarterback now, which when I've seen some of the proof of some of the throws that he's fitting in and stuff, it makes a lot of sense. I could definitely see arguments with him, but he's not my top 3. He's not my top 5, but I think that team is in a very good spot. They got to fix that defense. They can't stop the run for shite. They got to get that together.
This year, if they don't get it together and get it together soon, they're not going to see themselves in the playoffs.
No, I don't think they will. But Rams are in so much trouble right now. Like, ever since Von Miller said he went from being 4-4 to 6-1 or 7-1, they've lost 3 straight. Since they've gotten their super team together, they sold their soul, got the super team together. They're 0-3 since Odell joined them. Yet again, Odell destroying franchises. Rams are in trouble. They don't have any more draft picks until like 2042. Or not 2042. It's a long time.
No, it's probably 2042. Let's be
I think
honest.
it's 2020. It's a while. They don't have draft picks for a hot minute. They've traded away a lot of picks to build this super team that is not gelling together at all. I think they're in trouble. You cannot have that built a team and struggle like that. The Rams are in trouble. The only team that I think might be in more trouble right now is the Browns. And the only reason I didn't say the Browns is because they're currently third in the league in cap space right now. So they can definitely put a team together very easily. Their defense is, because everyone forgets, the Browns have built their team around draft picks. They have a lot of young guys that they haven't given big contracts to. So they have the money to keep this team together and put more pieces together. So Browns fans, relax. Rams fans, you better start panicking.
The Rams have got the Jags and then the Cardinals. So that's the worst in the league to the best in the league.
What's going to be really interesting is Jared Goff has a better record this month than the Rams.
Yikes.
They are 0-3 or 0-4 this month. He is 2-1, being 2 losses and 1 tie. So technically, Jared Goff has been better than Matthew Stafford.
What a world we live in.
Okay. And then the Rams can't beat a winning team, and that's what really has me worried. Because they've beat one winning team this year. One. Every other team they've beat is below 500 right now. If they can't start beating winning teams, they're going to be in a lot. I honestly might take the Rams out of being Super Bowl favorites if I'm taking bet money. Because
you still have them, the Super Bowl favorites?
They're the Rams. You look at that roster, you can't say that they're not, but
I feel like that's all we've been saying recently.
All right, guys, let's talk about last week's picks. Luke,
I was robbed. I was robbed.
Luke, you went 8-7. Nick, you went 7-9, and I went 9-7.
I was robbed.
No, you want to talk about robbed. I was robbed.
No,
I was robbed.
You apparently just predicted everything.
Oh, yes, I know. And then I went and I switched because I sounded freaking crazy. And then I actually had one game. And
I told you I'd give you back the Giants.
And I said,
okay?
whatever we said on the podcast was
what you kept like wanting to throw a fit. You were like, but no one would let me pick it. Oh God, I'm like sitting there like,
because I was mad and I wanted to
switch it.
I wanted to be mad, but I also said that whatever was on the podcast goes because you wanted to make a switch too, and I said no. So I had to stay true to what I said. I can't get a point because that's what I said, but I can still rant about it.
Nobody was. No, you can't.
Yes, I can. So let's talk about this week's picks. We already had the Dallas at New Orleans game.
Dallas. I'm still worried about Dallas. Dak Prescott does not impress me. He had a lot of throws that were like behind the receivers that were low. That he had that terrible interception during the game. He only got through for 1 passing touchdown. I think he got carried by his receivers a lot. Like CeeDee Lamb was making the entire defense of the Saints look like children. He was juking out top level players. Amari Cooper had that one huge catch down the middle of the field where he was wide open. Michael Gallup with some great body control on the line. I think he might be. I've always been on the Dak Prescott hype train that he's actually a really good quarterback. I'm wondering if he's top 10 right now or if he's just being carried by a top offense.
This was the one Dallas game all season I didn't watch. That's because I was working till about 1 a.m.
Cry.
I saw the Gallup catch. That was insanely impressive. I saw the Cooper catch. I'm so glad he's back. I saw what CD was doing. I'm so glad he's back. DeMarcus Lawrence is back. The Cowboys are getting healthy again. Yes.
Everyone except for Zeke, who is doing power runs for 3 yards. I still stand. I think Tony Pollard might be better than Zeke. I honestly think that they should start playing Pollard more. He's more explosive. He's more dominant. He's way better in the open field. Zeke's kind of just been doing power run. And 1, it hasn't been working. And 2, he just keeps getting beat up. You can't be a power runner and keep getting hurt.
That's the only. I think that Dak is just in a bit of a slump, honestly. I mean, everyone has them. I think he's still a great quarterback. He's just in a slump. I think like I said, I think our one issue is that we're running the ball a little bit too much. Zeke is hurt. Like, he needs time off for his leg.
I'd be worried about y'all won by 10 against Taysom Hill and the Saints, who didn't have their star receiver, their star running back, several defensive pieces. Their entire O-line is had like 3 rookies. It's their 8th time changing their O-line this year. If you can't beat teams like that by more than 10, I'm kind of worried about what Dallas.
That's the cutoff now. That's the cutoff. You can't beat teams by more than 10.
No. If you're going to be a top Super Bowl caliber team like Dallas, who has this high-powered offense and this better defense, you cannot let Taysom Hill go out there and be juking out your defenders, bouncing off tackles. You can't let guys like Harris get in the open field and absolutely roast all your corners. I'll admit, you had 4 great interceptions against a guy who's against a tight end. Good job.
That's news to me. I didn't know.
Taysom Hill should not ever be a quarterback. He should never be back there with the ball, ever. He needs to be a fullback or tight end, honestly, and he shouldn't even be that. They are paying him $40 million over the next 3 years for Taysom Hill to go out there and literally be what everyone thinks Lamar Jackson is. That is literally what he is. He is the poor man's Lamar Jackson.
Yikes.
Sunday's picks. Tampa Bay at Atlanta.
Tampa Bay.
I locked Tampa Bay over Atlanta.
Tampa Bay.
I think that's a very solid lock. I'm just gonna stick with that.
This will be the one game Matt Ryan pops off.
God, I hope not. I hope Tom Brady doesn't go ahead and struggle against Atlanta. It's Tom Brady versus Atlanta. It's literally as bad as Patriots versus New York against Atlanta. Come on. Please, Tom. I'm betting with you for once. I bet again. I will say, last week I said we've bet against Tom Brady and won. And I was flaunting it no. Not only have we not bet against Tom Brady, we've won. We didn't do that last week. I got a little greedy. I'm just gonna bow to Tom Brady and lock him in this week and just call it quits.
I had Tampa Bay, but I didn't lock them.
Arizona at Chicago.
Arizona.
Kyler Murray's coming back. I'm gonna go
He is
Arizona.
back?
Apparently he is supposed to be back for this game. D-Hop is still questionable, but Kyler is very much looking like he's gonna play this week.
Finally, it's about time.
LA Chargers at Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
I picked Cincinnati. I'm off that hype. They can't stop the run. The Bengals have shown that Joe Mixon is what he is, which is the top 5 running back in the league. Joe Mixon's going to go out there and probably have close to what he did last week. He's going to have around 150 yards rushing, and it's going to be.
This is where the Chargers lose the playoff berth.
Mm-hmm.
The Cincinnati game is where it happens.
Well, it seems like we're agreeing this a lot this week because I'm also Cincinnati. Minnesota at Detroit.
I almost picked Detroit. I was almost going to do it.
I knew it.
I almost
did it because this is the type of game that Minnesota loses. This is the type of thing Minnesota does. This would be the game that Detroit wins. I picked Minnesota. I want them to lose because of playoff placings right now, and that'd be the funniest thing in the world. I almost did. I want a half point if Detroit wins this. Because
I almost picked Detroit too, honestly.
I wanted to, but I need a good week. So I picked Minnesota. They should win. They don't have Dalvin Cook, and that's where it's going to be interesting for me. It's because it's all going to go around Kirk Cousins, and I think Kirk Cousins is super underrated. He's having a very good season, and as soon as you start thinking he's elite, he does stuff like lines up under the right guard. So
Football.
Kirk Cousins hurts me. He hurts me. But
Indianapolis at Houston.
Indianapolis.
Houston wins these games. This is another one where it's right there with that Detroit game. You think that Houston's actually pretty good, and they go and lose to the Jets, and then you think they suck, and then they go out there and beat top teams. I picked the Colts. I did. But yet again, this is one of those other games where it's kind of I could underdog pick this. I definitely could. But yet again, I need a safe week, so I didn't. I don't have an underdog this week. I picked the Colts. Carson Wentz, please.
You can't go from dissing on Carson Wentz literally like 10 minutes before to begging him to win against
Okay,
the Texans.
this is the type of thing that Kirk Cousins and Carson Wentz do. You start thinking they're elite, you start thinking they're good, and then they go out and lose to teams like the Texans, the Jets, or Detroit. Looking at those picks and then looking at those guys, it's just kind of like, I want to pick against them. I want to. Like, part of my body wants to go out there and just be like, raise hell, let's do it. But then I need a good week.
Well, I also went with Indianapolis, New York Giants at Miami.
Miami.
Tua, you better freaking roast this team for all I want. I want them to get destroyed by Tua. I want Tua to have 350 pass yards on this team. I picked Miami.
Miami.
I have Miami for this one. I think as bad as Miami is, they're still a little better than the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia at New York Jets.
Philly.
I locked Philadelphia.
Ooh.
Philly.
Ooh, Luke.
Okay. That's
Okay.
That's
Okay,
different.
that's a very good pick because I also considered doing it, but I had already gotten my lock. So, but
You went with a far safer lock than I did.
Oh, yeah,
But I still
but-
think this is a good lock.
yeah. It better be a good lock, for God's sake. It better be.
Jacksonville
No, just wait
at
for the
LA
rant. Wait for the rant. You're gonna hear it.
Jacksonville at LA Rams.
The freaking Rams better win. This
I love
is
the Rams.
such a weird week. The Rams are very good against teams below 500. Jacksonville's very bad against everybody.
What are they, 2-8, 2-7?
Yeah. So pick the Rams. They're gonna finally get their first win with their whole super team. Hopefully that helps them gel together a bit. I swear to God, if this is the game where Trevor Lawrence decides he wants to show off why he was the number one pick, I am actually gonna throw something.
I think it'd be very bad but very good at the same time if the Rams lost this game.
Mhm.
But I chose the Rams for the picks at least.
I went very I locked Rams.
Okay. Ooh.
Okay.
Fair enough. Went from picking Jacksonville 2 weeks ago to now locking the Rams against them. She's learning.
But to
She's
be fair,
learning.
Jacksonville was my underdog pick. And then I saw how that question burned. So yeah, no. I am learning.
You're
Yeah.
learning. You're learning.
Washington at Las Vegas.
Chose the Raiders.
I want Washington to win.
I
So-
do not.
I want Washington to win.
I want the
I-
Raiders to win.
I went with Washington and I made this my underdog pick.
I forgot that they're the
Yeah.
underdogs for that game. That's crazy. I think that the Washington defense is starting to figure something out. They're starting to get something together. The Raiders aren't getting anything together. In fact, they're falling apart more. Darren Waller's hurt. He's questionable for the game. That goes your number one receiving option right there. I think Washington's going to look pretty good. They just came off a big win against Seattle. Short rest, yes. Same time. I think they'll be fine.
I could stand to see Washington fall another game behind in the East.
I could absolutely see that too, but I want the Raiders down low. As much as I want Washington to lose as well, and I think that would be big for Phillies, for the Eagles. I stand by
Here's
what I
the
said.
thing about it. For this game, if Washington wins, they're still not catching up to Dallas.
Yeah.
If Vegas
Well, I mean,
wins,
who knows? Dallas might be fake. Dak Prescott might not be that good. We're gonna see.
if Washington wins, they don't catch up to Dallas. If Vegas wins, they tie the Rams right now? Or tie the Chargers for playoff?
I think they tie the Chargers because they're
Yeah.
like one game over 500 right now. So
So either team could win this game. I would just rather the NFC East race be a little more Dallas favored.
yeah,
Baltimore at Pittsburgh.
I think this is gonna be a 12 interception game. I think Big Ben's gonna look like crap. I think Lamar's not gonna look good. Baltimore's proven that they're a bad team. The Steelers have proven they're a worse team. I picked Baltimore.
Baltimore. This could be another tie. You never know.
It might be. Baltimore's currently the number one seed, and that upsets me because they look horrible. They look like such a bad team, honestly. But
Well, I also picked Baltimore. San Francisco at Seattle.
Talk about bad looking teams. Let's talk about Seattle. Russ did it again. He threw an interception on the 1 yard line. Gave everyone flashbacks.
How does that happen more than once in a season?
Oh, don't worry. I will talk about this here in my upcoming rant. Just wait it out. I picked San Francisco. San Francisco yet again. Their defense is starting to figure it out. Jimmy G's starting to look better. Not good, but better. The offense is starting to look good. The team's getting healthy. I picked San Francisco. Seattle looks horrible. They look really bad. So
I've got San Francisco. The 49ers are weird for me. They've been a surprising team, at least in my eyes so far. They're not
a lot of people
good,
were
but they're
talking about
better
them
than
being.
I thought they would be.
Yeah, a lot of people at the beginning of the season, everyone was talking about them being a Super Bowl caliber team. Like, we forget this team was in a Super Bowl 2 years ago. Their defense is really good. Kyle Shanahan's a very good coach. The issue is that the team's just been so beat up and hurt and injured that they haven't been able to do anything. But everyone's getting healthy. They're getting their defense back. They're getting their offense together. Deebo Samuel might win MVP by being the most versatile player in the league. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns and no catches last week. He's a receiver. He ran the ball a lot. Like, Kyle Shanahan is doing whatever he can to get the ball in his hand, and it's working. I think that with him being the Swiss Army knife that he is, and how that team works, I think San Francisco could be a very interesting team. I just don't think Seattle will be.
I think they've got this week. They go to 7-5, but then they play the Bengals next.
Bengals.
That'll be a tough matchup.
Bengals. You said Bengals.
Oh,
the Bengals.
The Bengals.
Southern AFC.
Denver at Kansas City.
Another game where I was like really iffy about it. I picked Kansas City because Kansas City's looked really good lately. They figured a lot out. Their defense is looking better. The offense is looking really good. Denver's defense is elite. I just don't think that offense is up to par yet. So I picked Kansas City, but this is there's like 3 or 4 games this week where I'm looking at them like I could go either way on this and be right. So I picked Kansas City. It's going to be interesting.
This is definitely one of those games.
I picked Kansas City as well. I was very up in the air about who to pick. I originally picked Denver, and then I was kind of watching, and I was like, okay, we're switching to Kansas City.
I mean, Denver's so interesting because their defense has been their defense was elite, but then you guys like Patrick Surtain, who's starting to look really good, who's starting to find his way in the league. And when your rookies start looking good on elite defense and making it more elite, I think if Denver can get a good quarterback and one or two more offensive pieces, I think Denver is the Super Bowl caliber team next year. The question is, where are you going to get it from quarterback? I think if they go out and get a guy like Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers this offseason, they're going to be very, very good next year.
Do you think they have a chance to get Aaron Rodgers?
They did before. They were one of the top teams that he was going to sign with. So if they get a guy like that, if they can get a guy of that caliber, I think they're Super Bowl contenders, honestly. Because that defense is amazing. And that offense is just, I think Teddy Bridgewater is a very good quarterback. I think he's a very underrated quarterback. I don't think he's a winning quarterback. I think he's very much like a Ryan Fitzpatrick type quarterback, where he can win you games, but he's not going to win big games. So
I chose Kansas City. I really want to choose Denver for this one, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. I can't look at these two teams and just not think about their games at Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
New England.
Oh, yeah, when Dallas lost to both of them. Yeah.
And Kansas City barely beat a beat-up Dallas team. Like,
it was
I really want to choose the Broncos.
Chill out.
Monday's game, New England at Buffalo.
Another one of those games where it's like, I picked New England because they're riding hot. They're on fire. They're a power run team. Buffalo struggles against the power run, but we'll see.
I've got New England for all the same reasons.
Nick's lock this week was Tampa Bay. He had no underdog. Luke's lock was Philly. He had no underdog. And I locked LA Rams, and my underdog was Washington. So now let's move on to the rant, which is Nick's this week.
just want to say real quick, hearing Luke lock Philly is weird.
Definitely odd.
I would have liked Dallas, but I didn't know who was coming back.
All right, this is not as much of a rant as much of it's a hate speech and an explanation.
Isn't that what our rants normally are, though?
Shut up. My rant this week is about Phillies fans, Eagles fans. I haven't been here long. I haven't been an Eagles fan very long, I will admit. It's only been a couple of years. Y'all suck. I understand why y'all's fan base is so hated. Chill out. It's so bad. One bad game from Jalen Hurts. I will admit, he's not having like an MVP caliber year. But one bad game, like really bad game, and everyone jumps ship. Everyone wants him gone. Everyone's like trading for Rush, trading for Deshaun. Why? We have a quarterback that has shown nothing but upside, and y'all want to trade him for either a quarterback who's coming off his 2 worst seasons or a guy who has so many legal issues that we wouldn't even know if he would play for more than a year. No. I blame all of this on Jalen Reagor. Screw him. He needs to freaking get the heck out of here. I hate that man so much. Dude, I hated him when we drafted him. We are so bad at drafting receivers. We picked JJ Arcega-Whiteside over Justin Jefferson. And we picked Jalen Reagor. No. We picked him over DK Metcalf. And then we picked Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. Arcega-Whiteside doesn't touch the field ever. And then Jalen Reagor, brick for hands, literally a trash can. People are literally selling merch that is a picture of Jalen Reagor with a stock down symbol behind his head because he's that bad.
I've seen those. They're funny.
Dude, he sucks. Everyone's saying we need to trade for Russ or Watson. Hurts has done nothing but improve. People want to say he's improved as a runner and not throwing the football. He has improved. Does he throw some wobbly balls sometimes? Yes. Does he make the best decisions in the pocket? No, it happens. I get it. It's his 2nd season in the league. Chill. Do y'all know what the predictions were for the Eagles at the beginning of the year?
What were the predictions?
3 wins. 2 wins. Bottom of the division. Behind teams like Washington and the Giants competing for a Super Bowl. We were supposed to be the bottom team. We are 5-7 with 3 separate tiebreaker wins against teams that are ahead of us. We have tiebreaker wins against against the Saints and the Falcons. And if we still have to play Washington twice. So that's another one that we can take. And we still have to play the Giants again. We can still get that game back.
And Dallas plays Washington next.
Exactly. Washington has a really tough schedule. We don't. We might make the playoffs this year when we were supposed to be the bottom division.
Okay, I have to ask, with Jalen Hurts, is there a little bit of bias there?
Of course there is.
Just a little bit.
Of course there is. But at the same time, I'm patient. I can wait a year or two. First thing first, get rid of Jalen fucking Reagor. Fuck that guy. That's the Jalen that needs to get out. Dude.
And this podcast just became explicit.
It's been explicit. I've cussed multiple times. It's always been explicit. I always mark it as explicit whenever I fill out the stuff for it. Chill out. He needs to leave. I hate him. Literally in my notes, it says Jalen fucking Reagor. That is literally what I wrote. He's horrible. As much as you want to say that don't throw to him, Jalen Hurts, don't throw to him, don't do it. We know he's bad. He's an NFL wide receiver. He should catch it. 2 touchdown game-winning passes at the end of the game. One of them over the shoulder in the basket, bounces off his helmet. The other one, on the line. Yes, Devontae Smith was open. At the time, though, Jalen Hurts was in the pocket. He dropped too far back. He had a defender cutting back to him. Was he too far back in the pocket? Yes. By the time he was stepping up, by the time that he realized that guy was there, he was open. Or Devontae Smith was open. By the time he was looking back downfield after escaping the pressure, the safety had been going over off of Jalen Reagor to Devontae Smith, and he was blocked off. It would have been a very small pocket. Instead, you had Jalen Reagor in a one-on-one at the goal line. At the worst thing that would have happened was it would have been at the 1 for a game-winning run with one of the best running teams in the league. Straight through his hands. Like, right through his hands. And then earlier in the game, Quez Watkins dropped a touchdown pass. You can say what you want about Jalen Hurts having 3 interceptions. He had 3 touchdowns that game that were all dropped. I don't think we should give up on him. And that's just like the eye test. If you actually want to start talking about like stats and numbers, if we go and we are second in the league in cap space right now. Like, we have a lot of money. This is a very good upcoming free agency for receivers. If we would get Russ right now, if we were to trade for him, we would have him through 2023, and it would be a $37 million for 2022 cap, and then $40 million in 2023. That's $40 million in cap space we would lose. Right now, we have 3 first-round picks. 3. 2 in the top 10, and then one that's like 15th or 16th. I have it right here. Hang on. We have the 7th, 8th, and 14th draft pick right now. You think we can't hit on one receiver there? Or we can go in free agency and get receiver. Why trade 3 first-round picks? That's such a big gain right there. And then we have so much cap space that we would lose if we went for a guy like Russ. Or even like Deshaun Watson. We would have him until 2026, yeah. But then it would be a $40 million cap hit, a $42 million, a $37, and then a $32 million cap hit. And by the time that cap starts dropping to the 37, receivers are going to be gone. Like, we're going to lose out on guys. Like, we're going into a free agency with guys like Allen Robinson, Juju Smith-Schuster. Michael Thomas is going to be is up for trade. Those are guys that we could absolutely get. Those are great route runners that could catch the ball in short passes, which is what we need. Watson, legal issues. Russ is coming up off his worst 2 seasons. Russ against Washington, he made some horrible decisions. Like, you want to talk about Hurts missing out on a guy? DK Metcalf, arguably a top 15 receiver in the league, racing on the edge of the end zone. The closest defender is about 2 yards behind him, wide open, racing across the end of the end zone. Russ throws to the receiver directly behind him, who is double guarded by 2 guys for an interception to end the game. So you're telling me you want to talk about a guy who can't... You can tell me as much as you want. Why would Russ want to come? Yes, we have a good O-line, but who's he going to throw to? Devontae Smith? Dallas Goedert? Coming off of guys like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, 2 elite receivers, deep ball receivers, which is what Russ is supposedly good at, throwing deep balls. Yeah, it's really easy when you have guys like DK and Tyler Lockett. Hurts contract, we have until 2023. You want to know what his cap hit is? $1.6 million versus $40 million. That's a big number. That's a lot of difference. Does Hurts have a lot to improve on? Yes. Phillies fans, chill the frick out. Breathe. We are above expectations. I've been all over Phillies Twitter, Phillies Instagram. The unanimous decision is get rid of Jalen Reagor and chill. Like, everyone wants to say, go get this top guy. Why? Why would we trade away draft picks that we need? Like, our team isn't great. We need defensive depth. We have great corners. Yes. Our D-line is old. It's not very good. Our linebackers are not very good. Our O-line is getting old. Our receiving core sucks. Miles Sanders might not be coming back, but we're good at running back. We still have Gainwell and we still have Boston Scott. I don't think we need to get rid of Jalen Hurts. I think we need to relax and get over it. I know this rant was over 5 minutes. I know it was probably very boring because I'm not like yelling and screaming.
Oh, dude, this has been a pretty good rant.
This is a great rant.
Don't trade Hurts. At this point, yes, it's a little biased for me, but at the same time, I think the safest... You can go out there and take that big risk because, like, the thing that it seems to be that they want Russ. The Phillies wanted to draft Russ in 2012 whenever he was drafted. They've always been in love with Russ. I get it. It's such a dangerous pick because Russ has not been elite lately. He hasn't been great. It's been very okay. He's struggled. And you can say what you want about that O-line being horrible. Russ is... Okay, if I say the name Tom Brady, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Ring.
Quarterback.
Say
Legacy.
football.
Anything about, let's talk legacy. Like, if these players were to retire now, this is what you would think of them. Tom Brady, GOAT. Aaron Rodgers, great. Deshaun Watson, you think his great year. You also think allegations, but that's also there. Yet again, proving my point. You think guys like Russell Wilson. Does any form of highlight play come to your mind at all for Russell Wilson? You know what comes to my mind? Throwing an interception on the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl. The fact that you want to say Russ is elite, every year Russ is considered elite. Would it surprise you that Russell Wilson has never received an MVP vote? Ever. Never done it. He's never had an MVP vote. Ever. You know the times he's been good? When he's had the Legion of Boom behind him in that elite defense. He can't lead a team. He's proven that he can't lead a team. When was the last time Seattle was good? It's been a while. He can't lead that team. I don't think he'd be able to lead Philly. Philly has a lot of work we need. Why would we give up all that cap space that we can use? We'd give up draft picks that we can use. I don't. For me, the safest pick is to go into the draft backup players, get more youth and talent in, and go into free agency and use our $30 million cap space that we have and go get some receivers. Like, this is a very good receiving draft class or a receiving free agency class. Like, even if it comes down to it, like, names, like, people that we couldn't get that are there, Devontae Adams is out there. I doubt we'd get him. He's probably going to go to the Raiders. But names like Devontae Adams, Juju, Michael Thomas, Allen Robinson, those are really good receivers that we could absolutely get and we could afford. And then if we don't do that, we can go to the draft. Do we have the best luck with draft picks and receivers? No. But those draft picks would make good pieces to trade for a receiver. Instead of trading Jalen Hurts and 2 first-round picks, 2 or 3 first-round picks for Russell Wilson, or for Deshaun Watson, why not trade 1 first-round pick for a good receiver? That just seems way safer and way smarter to me. But
I actually really like this rant because for once I feel like we're not yelling during a rant. And also I feel like there is a little bit of bias, but you're also backing it up with so much evidence. Like, I have not heard a single thing that I'm like, oh, that's like a really valid point.
Okay. I will defend the other side. Jalen Hurts looked really bad. He did, against a team that he probably should have destroyed. But then you also have to consider the fact that we didn't know what this team was going to look like. Like, this team got a new head coach 2 days ago. Got a new offensive coordinator 2 days ago. Like, we didn't know what Freddie Kitchens was going to do. We didn't know what he was going to look like on that team. We had no time to prepare. We were looking at old Browns plays because Freddie Kitchens hasn't played. And then he came out there. He used Saquon really well. They used their receivers really well. They looked good. And you can say what you want. Jalen Hurts led a game-winning drive. He did. Did he end up making a problem at the end? Yes, he did. He should have thrown to Devontae. His pocket presence needs to improve. Those interceptions were really bad. He had a bad game. It happens. He's leading us to the playoffs right now with a bad team. Like, it's a good defense, a good secondary, good running backs. It's a brand new coach. We constantly have players getting injured. I mean, you can say what you want. Jalen's doing really good. The stats might not back it up, but he's leading this team really well. Does it not look amazing? Yes. It's his second year. Okay, chill out. Josh Allen looked really bad his first 2 years, and then he went out and got Stephon Diggs, and now he's an MVP candidate. And then he's proven this year that he's very inconsistent. It's very easy to jump on a hype train for a player. It's very easy to jump off, especially for a team like Philly. We've seen it with, like, Ben Simmons. Everyone was trust the process. Ben Simmons this, Ben Simmons that. Everyone's off it. Everyone's gone. Ben Simmons is everyone hates Ben Simmons. Like, the most fun thing right now is who's more hated in Philly, Ben Simmons or Jalen Reagor. That's a fun one.
That's a close race.
Quez Watkins. I mean, like, once you go off of Devontae Smith, you can't name another receiver on the team that's good. I mean, our starting receivers are Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, and Jalen Reagor. Those are our 3 guys. Those last two guys, no one's ever heard of. Ever. No one knows who Quez Watkins is. And the only reason people know who Jalen Reagor is because he has freaking trash can for hands, except a trash can can catch a ball occasionally. I'd honestly rather have Devontae Smith running out there with a trash can. Honestly. Like, Dallas Goedert is a top tight end. Yes, he is. Jalen Hurts hits Dallas Goedert on plays, and Dallas Goedert makes big plays. He can hit Devontae Smith and make big plays. We've seen it happen. We've also seen Jalen Hurts have some really good ball placement a lot of the time. And there's the dual threat of it being that he can also take off and run really well. And he's improved his run game. He's improved it. Does he still need some time to go? Yes. Give him some time. Go another year or two. And then if we don't like him then, we can draft another quarterback. Or we can go get Russ in free agency. His contract ends in a couple of years. We can go get him in free agency. He's not going to want to stay. I think the far safer and smarter option is just to keep going around Jalen right now. Does he have a lot of problems? Yes. But there's a lot of upside there. And there's a lot of ways that it can definitely improve. The general conscious around Philly's Instagram and Philly's Twitter is as soon as I start talk to people, they like come at me with Jalen Hurts has looked bad. He hasn't had a great season. I hit them back with stuff. And then eventually they kind of just run out of stuff to go against. And then I end up getting a lot of people that are like, I agree. Or yes, it's way smarter and way safer to do this. Or people that agree that Russ hasn't looked good. So I know that there's people in the Phillies and in Philadelphia that know what they're doing. Like they're thinking. But then you have a lot of people that are just off the hype train. That are just, go get Russ. Go get a big name. Let's do it. If you go do it, you're not winning. What are we going to do? What's he going to do? Who's he going to throw the ball to? We have so many flaws and issues right now that getting a player like that would do nothing but hurt us. Cap-wise and everything. But personal take, that's my rant. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
That was a good rant.
Yeah, it was.
You guys got anything to say off it?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm shocked.
I do. So what you said about a bad team being right on the playoff cusp, I would have said that sounded like the Red Sox last season, except the Sox aren't a bad team, so never mind. Other thing I have to say, Hurts, I say this all the time. I asked you if Hurts is wasted in Philly. If they move on, he was. Absolutely.
Yes.
If they stay and they don't draft receivers, that can help him, he's wasted.
See, I don't think we need to draft receivers. This free agency class is very stacked with receivers. We can pay somebody. We have the money. We have the second highest cap space besides the Jaguars. And on top of that, I think we look like a better team. Our defense looks really good. We have a new system. This division is very winnable. Like, it's a very up for toss division. Even if the Dallas Cowboys look good, even if they look good, it's still a very playoff worthy team. You can still get a wild card in this division very easily. I think this team looks really good. If Jalen Hurts shows some improvement, it's going to look good. What I'm very interested in, if Jalen Hurts looks really good against the Jets, what's the opinion then? That's what I want to see. I want to see how quickly opinions change if he has a really good game against the Jets. That's what I want to see. As soon as if he goes out there and rushes for over 100 yards and passes for over 200 and throws 2-3 touchdowns and a pick, I think that the whole opinion around him changes and it flips like a switch. And that's going to be very interesting. That's what I want to see.
Well, as much
I don't
as
know, but
go ahead.
I don't know what the Jets are going to do to stop him, to be honest. So we'll see. Because even if he has a good game, you got to game against the Jets. Then they've got to play it's Washington after that. Then they've got to play a team in their division that's ahead of them in the standings.
They're half a game ahead of them, yes. But if they play really well against Washington, people seem to forget, we have a lot of tiebreakers. Hurts has led us in big games. We have the tiebreaker over the Saints. We have the tiebreaker over the Falcons. We can get the tiebreaker over Washington. We still have to play them twice. Washington still has to go out there and play Dallas. We played Dallas one time. Washington still has to play them twice. That's 2 losses. The Giants are not going to be that good. As soon as people start realizing what the Giants are doing, it's going to change. The issue was we came off them off of 2 days of having a new offensive coordinator. We had no clue what they were going to do. As it is, we still stuck them up. And I stand by it that Jalen Hurts played well. Is he a little iffy at times? Yes. Is his ball a little wobbly and harder to catch? Yes. These are NFL receivers. They should still be able to catch the ball. We lead the league in drop passes. There's no good receiver on this team besides Devontae Smith, who is a rookie. He's going to improve. As soon as he improves, him and Hurts have such a good connection that that's going to get better. Like, it's going to start looking really good. But I wish the Cowboys hadn't jumped ahead of us and drafted CeeDee Lamb, man. We needed him so bad. God, if we had gotten CeeDee Lamb, this would be a totally different conversation.
If only you had
If only the Cowboys weren't the pettiest fucking team in the league.
Best team in the league.
Best team.
Petty. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to another episode of the All-Star Trio podcast. We will be up. Follow all the socials. We are on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and this video will be up on YouTube. So
I finally got the YouTube, guys.
we have a YouTube up now. So follow us on all our socials. Give us a follow. The Snapchat is always up to date on sports news. So if you want to stay up to date on sports, go follow the Snap. We'll have fun. Thank you for listening. See you later.
Peace.
I can salute now.
Podcast.